Well, hello there, everyone, and this is different. So I started doing or by the way, welcome to another episode of Spectrum Talk. I almost said the. It's not the Spectrum Talk. So this one's a little bit different. So a while ago, I started doing the video versions just to have a different version of the podcast. And on some topics, mainly the Achievement Hunter stuff, it did a whole lot better on video than it did audio. And then when I went, to other topics that weren't so inflammatory, I guess not inflammatory, controversial maybe. Horrible. There you go. That's the word. Horrible. It did better on the audio side. But I was like, I've been wanting to get back into streaming, but I keep needing to test, and my internet, the new internet that I got, is weird, and I don't know when it's going to be good or any of that, yada yada yada. But I was like, I have to do the podcast. I haven't done it this week. I didn't do it over the weekend, and I need to do it. And the reason I didn't do it over the weekend is because my computer was dead, which, by the way, haha, it's alive. You can probably hear it in the background because it's loud as shit. Um, I'll probably post a picture of some sort, because it's or I might do a little short video. It's If y'all have seen that video where I went "It's alive" and you thought it looked bad before, you haven't seen shit, because now it is literally a motherboard on top of a table. Because the motherboard, the replacement motherboard that was supposed to be the exact same motherboard for the Dell Optiplex is not the same motherboard, but it has the configuration I need. And since I don't want to go spend hundreds of dollars on another CPU, I want to use the one that I have. But it's old and not a lot of motherboards support it. Well, I found it, but it doesn't fit in the case. Alright, well, I'm gonna get fucked that way. It's literally the wrong direction. So I have it sitting outside the case, but next to it, because I still need that power button, and I couldn't get the case open enough. I was afraid I was going to cut my hands open to get the power button out, so it's kind of next to the case. And then I have the fans plugged in, but only one of them is actually doing anything, because it's the CPU fan that actually sits on top. The other one isn't doing jack shit, but it runs weird and yells at me if I don't have it plugged in, because it's like, your hard drive fan's not plugged in. It's going to get too hot. And I'm like, it's sitting in the open air. It's the best cooling ever. But it's literally a motherboard sitting on top of a plastic table. And the wires are kind of... nothing fit right. Like the CPU cooler that I have does not fit right, but I also can't screw it down because it's not in the case. So that's an issue, but it works. I took the USB I/O and everything out, and then just took it out of the case and then reconnected it, and it's kind of laying on top of it. And it looks jank as hell. And then I got the graphics card that I bought to help out, and to be fair, it's helped out. Once Windows 10 fixed itself, because that turns out turned out to be most of my issue, was Windows 10, though I'd still had the motherboard issue I had to fix. But after that, I got the graphics card on top, and it is just incredibly, just this thing, it's the most redneck thing I've ever set up. Oh crap! I didn't expect to get anybody in the chat. I lost my train of thought. Was that Alterheim or Alterheim? You're only here to see handsome guys. Well, I'm sorry to disappoint you. There's none of those here. I mean, my wife seems to think I'm handsome, but fucking I don't. She's been blind ever since I met her, so. I mean, she can see. I just don't know how well. Well, thank you very much for the accolades. I didn't actually expect anybody to pop up on chat. It's weird. I've never done this before. I've never actually done the whole live podcast thing before. I've done the podcast with people. I've done that because it's a hell of a lot better with people. But I've never actually done this live before. Be myself? Yes. I know that. I'm going to keep being myself. I'm used to streaming. I've just never actually done the... This is kind of a test to see if my internet is okay and not going to shit itself. I'm used to streaming. I just haven't done it in a while because I didn't have internet for a very long time. and that sucked. And then when I got my internet, my computer exploded for the second time, so that was fun, which is why it's a motherboard sitting on top of a table right now. God, that's jank looking. It's a good thing I got that power supply. That's overkill, but it was really, really cheap, so I snagged it. They were running some sale, and it was the cheapest power supply I could find. My God, if I ever, maybe one day I'll find a case, or I could build one. I can make one out of wood. Just get some pallet wood at the job. Just make me a wooden PC case. That sounds like a fucking fire hazard. What I'm talking about today in terms of topics, I'm not actually sure yet. I was just gonna try to freeball this and see what happened. I mean, of course, the topic at hand right now is the American election, which I shouldn't have fooled myself. I knew it wasn't going to be a blowout, but I had hope that maybe it was going to be some crazy 400, 500 point blowout. But no, of course not. We're waiting on fucking like Nevada now, I think. Come on, guys. Come on, Nevada. And they pull through, and then Biden gets elected, and we're all good. Or at least we can take a breather for like a few seconds and then continue the fight. But man, this is just a fucking nightmare. Other than that, someone popped a few shots off. Well, it was one shot. It was one gunshot next to my house, which startled the absolute hell out of me because it was late at night, and it was close. I don't know if they ever got the guy, and I don't like the police. Never really been a fan, but I reported it. I called directly to the department, not 911. I was like, hey, someone's, I think, shooting a gun. And they're like, what? And I was like, look, it's not a firework, and it's not a backfire. It's a gun. But it was just one shot. I don't know what's happening. I don't know. I'm thinking maybe just negligent discharge. Happens all the time. Still needs to be reported. You know, still needs to be reported and everything, and I wanted to report just in case something bad did happen, like murder or suicide or, God forbid, any of those things. So far, I think it was just a negligent discharge. My worst fear was that someone was running around shooting because of the election, which is sadly a possibility. But since I live in a town, a little city, I guess you'd call it it's a town. Gunshots are very rare. I know what guns sound like. I own guns. Very, very familiar with guns. All about weaponry and protecting yourself as long as you're responsible about it. If I was in the country and I heard a gunshot, wouldn't bother me as long as, you know, they weren't shooting at the house. However, even if I was in the country, like where my dad lives, or maybe not where my dad lives, probably more where my mom lives, and I heard that gunshot, I would be very concerned because someone would have to be next to my house. If you're by yourself in the middle of the country, that's an issue. But it wasn't like a distant gunshot. It was loud. And I don't know what kind of gun. I just know it was loud. That kind of loud. It could be anything. Probably a pistol. Don't know if they ever got the guy. I just know I went out the porch. The cops came by. And then they flagged me down. And I was like, yeah. And told them where it was. Blah, blah, blah. And all that crap. But I was very tense. Very tense. Did not sleep well last night because of that. Probably wasn't going to sleep well to begin with because I was always checking my phone to see if something was going to happen and that if Biden was going to win. Hoping. Please, God, let him win. But then that shot went off and it scared the shit out of me. I'm hoping, just hoping it was a negligent discharge. Just some dude was like, look at my gun, and then it went off because he was a dumbass. Those kill a lot of people, but that's kind of your best case scenario. Because those kill a lot of people, but they also don't. You never hear about the ones that don't kill people. I've had the opposite of a negligent discharge, where we thought the gun was loaded, fired it, just like trying to dry fire it, and I don't know how much I want to tell about the story. I was a kid, and we were idiots. But let's just say the gun was pointed at me. It could have killed me. We thought it was unloaded. I had the magazine out and everything, and we had fired it. I had, was like, what was it, a 15-shot magazine? Everything, blah, 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 blah. And there was some kind of joke. I don't remember what it was, but I had gone through all those rounds. and injected the magazine. Made some kind of joke, and the gun got pointed back at me, pulled the trigger, and whatever. Nothing happened, because that's what we expected. Then upon reloading the gun, and I pulled back the I lost my words. What do you call that? The slide. There we go. Damn. It's been a while since I've used a semi-automatic. I have all single action guns. The slide, full round shot up. It's a 22. It just had a misfire. It didn't go off. The pin hit it multiple times, never went off. But that was a good bullet. Could killed me. Another negligent discharge I had, I shot a couch by complete accident. Oh, when I was a kid. Nobody was there, nobody got hurt. Guns are deadly and incredibly dangerous. You should know what you're doing, and there should be better regulations, and there should be teaching. In my opinion, we should probably teach it in school. If we're going to be a country that loves guns and say, oh, guns should be everywhere, maybe teach people how to fucking use them. How to not kill themselves. You can teach like 99% of how to use a firearm in schools without actually having a damn firearm. You can have the fake ones that you can't... What are you going to do? Beat somebody with it? Teach them how to clean it, how to hold it, get used to the weight, how to respect it, get all this crap like how to identify it. All that stuff like that. That's my personal opinion. I believe that's what Switzerland does. It's worked out pretty well for them. I think that would solve a lot of issues. That, getting rid of toxic masculinity, and a lot of things based around gun culture, and a lot of the horrible cultures in America that lend themselves, or not lend themselves, that cause a lot of these horrible atrocities. Like electing an orange piece of shit. But whatever. I don't know how. 4 million more people voted for him this time than last time. How the fuck? Where'd you find 4 million more idiots? And I usually don't like using that term because you can be stupid and not a piece of shit. Having low intelligence or a mental, come on, not defect, but I guess that would be it, but just... You're not mentally there all the way. It does not mean that you have to be a piece of shit. It also doesn't mean that you're easily swayed either. So I usually don't like using the word stupid or idiot or whatever. I'm autistic. So I know that people can absolutely manipulate and abuse me, which is why I've gotten vigilant to make sure that doesn't happen. These people choose this. They know better. They choose to not care. So I don't see them as stupid because that's an excuse. Kind of excuses like, well, if they weren't stupid, they wouldn't vote this way. And I'm like, that's not true. There are plenty of incredibly intelligent racists. They were still racists and horrible. They just hate people. That's how that happens. That's just how that happens. You know, I wish we lived in a fantasy world where just being stupid, all the evil people were just stupid. But that's not true. There's a lot of stupidity there, but it turns out the evil people are also smart. Intelligence does not mean good. Lots of intelligent people are pieces of shit. Lots of dumb people are really, really good people. Also, we get in the whole thing about how cults work, and it turns out this is absolutely some cult shit. Cults tend to prey on people, or not prey, tend to do better with people with higher IQs. IQ is also bullshit, but with higher mental faculties, for whatever reason, because people of higher intelligence tend to be sadder because they think about the world and know about all this bullshit and they get depressed. And when you come to that point, it's easy for someone to slip in and go, we can make you happy if you did this, blah, 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 blah. And next thing you know, you're drinking the Kool-Aid. Cults don't go after the stupid people because people of usually lower intelligence, this isn't one-to-one, but tend to be happier. Whatever reason. So cults can't get them because then the stupid people are like, why the hell would I want to join your stupid cult? I'm happy here. But the cults prey on everyone else. Now, once you're in there, they don't educate you and they seal you off from the world. So then you do kind of get stupider, or at least you lose your education and some intellect, but you started off smart. Same thing's happening here, just with a political level. Ah, that's some good Modelo. I like the Negler. I don't like the regular Modelo. I don't know why. I'm weird on beer. I don't really like a whole lot of beer. God, my hair looks awful. If I hadn't shaved it off like an idiot. I don't like a lot of beer. Oddly enough, a lot of the cheaper beers I like for whatever reason. Like Lone Star. I love Lone Star. It's one of the beers I can tolerate. And it's like $4. It's gone up a little bit because of the virus. But I like Lone Star. Modelo is not a cheap beer. That import shit, especially now, is expensive. And the dark beer in particular is hard to find. For whatever reason. It's hard to find around here for some reason. I don't know why. What I do know is it's hard to find. And it's expensive. But it's delicious. I don't like regular Modelo. Not really a fan of it. Not really a fan of a lot of beers. Or alcohol in general. Despite being an alcoholic, always recovering. Don't worry. I have like one a day. I regulate myself, so does my wife. It helps my stomach. It helps my stomach. And though most of the time I usually just drink the near beer. There's a really good one called Texas Select. It's really good for my stomach. For whatever reason. It's also like good for your heart and other shit. I don't know. I don't know. Besides beer, I'll tell you one thing. Selection is trying to get me to drink. I was thinking real hard about buying some whiskey, but I know that's a bad idea. It's a bad idea. I gotta stay away from that. Because I'll drink that whole bottle in a night. And then get up and go to work the next day. Because that's what we call functioning alcoholism, kids. Oh. I think the one thing that keeps me from going overboard on beer is when you gotta drink a lot of it. And two, I don't like it all that much. I can't have too much of it. Whiskey, I drink like fucking water. Some good stuff. Yeah, that's still janky shit. Oh my god. But it works. For now. I hope it continues to work. I really, really do. Eventually, I'm going to get me a new case for that damn computer. What do we can talk about today, other than the election? So I got to talk about the election all damn day. I could rant about how much I despise Trump voters. I don't hate them because of my Christian values, and you can't hate, and yada, yada, yada. I still think they're going to go to heaven because God's bigger than that, and Jesus died for our sins. He's not going to lose people. He made that very clear when he said, I will not lose one. Doesn't mean that it... I'm of the opinion... A lot of people put Christianity in the way of... it's about getting to heaven. No. It has never been about getting to heaven. Who gives a shit? Yes, heaven's important. And the whole reason you want to save people... Or we don't save anymore. The whole reason you want to get people to know is so they can get to heaven. But if you actually read, it's a lot more than that. It's about making Earth better and the people around us better because we still live on Earth. And to loving your neighbor, your fellow man, all of that crap, right? But a lot of people just focus on the prosperity doctrine and on heaven and all this, blah, yada, yada, yada. But Jesus died and leveled the playing field. I have the same chance of going to heaven as a murderer or rapist or anyone else. Some people don't like that. They go, well, that means that nothing I do matters. No, 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 no. You don't understand the compassion, the grace that means. That means that they can get in. If they can get in, you sure as hell can get in. So focus on what you're doing now and focus on making the world around you a better place. Don't worry about heaven. Don't worry about heaven. That's taken care of. It also talks about, and I think Revelation, about how there will be people who have gotten into heaven who just did all this and followed the book and all that just so they could get into heaven. And how they still get in, but they're kind of shamed. Which I always found funny. It talks about like crowns and jewels and stuff. And it's like, yeah. It's like, he don't have no crown because he was a dick. He just got in here just to get the reward, while these other people sacrificed their lives and livelihoods to feed children and the poor and everybody else. That's the whole point. I don't know. I don't know how so many people miss the fucking point of all of this. I may be foul mouthed, but I may be foul mouthed and a leftist, but I am a Christian, and a lot of people don't see how those two can align. I'm like, well, outside of the foul mouth part, you really didn't read the Bible, because they don't like right-wing or conservative ideology at all in the Bible, especially when it comes to money. Oh man, James hated rich people. Jesus wasn't fond of them either, but James hated rich people. James hated some rich people. He was okay with tax collectors because he saw that it's like, well, they got a job and they got a job to do. There are good ones and bad ones. Everyone else just wanted to kill them all. And he's like, no, don't do that. There's good ones and bad ones. It's like, what about rich people? And it's like, well, if they're rich and they got rich by taking advantage of others, which is kind of the way you become rich, then fuck them. Like, well, okay. Okay, James. Damn. But, they killed his brother, so of course he's mad. But that's neither here nor there. This isn't the religion podcast unless, I don't know, the chat wants it to be. I got a lot of interesting views. Let's talk game stuff, like Watch Dogs Legion, which apparently is terrible. I've not heard a lot of good things about it. I've seen some okay reviews. I've seen some 8s, which is not bad. But from the people who've actually played the game, it does not sound great. Pat on the Castle Super Beast talked about playing it. Well, he got it because he got his brand new video card. I think it's like the second most powerful, not the most powerful. It's with the 3070, whatever. It runs like crap. He has like a $1,000 video card, and it runs like shit. Now, granted, it might just be a bad PC port. Ooh, that was bad. Ooh, that tasted terrible. Doesn't smell good either. Maybe, just maybe, it's a bad PC port. Not excusable, but maybe. Maybe it runs great on consoles. I haven't seen that, though. Apparently, its idea is really, really good, of the whole, you can be anybody and you can recruit anybody in your team, and it works really, really well. Outside of that, game's not fun. Is what I keep hearing. It's like it's like they have a really solid idea. I wish they could have backed it up with an actual video game. It's like, well, that's just sad. But I'm not surprised. Ubisoft hasn't made a good video game in a while. Or a really good video game in a while. Some people liked Odyssey. I'll give them that. I didn't at all care for that game whatsoever. And Rainbow Six is a multiplayer game. Seems to be doing pretty good. Other than that, Ghost Recon sucks. That new Ghost Recon game is awful. There hasn't been a good Far Cry game since... Well, the best is 3, but I guess 4 was good. After that, no bueno. Well, there was that DLC that was good, but other than that, Far Cry 5 pissed me off. I hate that game. No Splinter Cell, and like, 7 years now? Last one was 2013. 7 years, no Splinter Cell. Keep releasing some mobile game bullshit. Oh yeah, and what was that scandal about? What was it? Oh yeah, how they just secretly hid away a bunch of like sexual abusers, and then just outright office abuse and all that other bullshit, and they just like, oh yeah, we knew about it and didn't do jack shit about it. Yeah, that thing. And about how that directly led into why their games are so bland and samey and terrible. It's because those people who are abusing people are responsible for those decisions. And it makes sense that if you abuse your fucking dev team, that they're just not going to put heart into the game. They're just going to get it done as, it's a paycheck. Wow. Sounds like a company I want to support right there. Fuck Ubisoft. I hope, one, after a bunch of heads roll, after there's like a big cleaning, that they get it back on track, because they have a lot of great IP that I would love to see come back and love to see done well. But until then, I don't want to play another fucking Ubisoft game. Not after that bullshit. It hurts bad enough to play an Activision or EA game. But at least you know how bad you gotta fuck up to make EA and Activision look good? It's like, we fired a bunch of people for no reason, and we're evil and greedy, but we didn't do that shit. Holy fuck. Damn. Ubisoft, Jesus. That's bad. That's real bad. When EA gets to say that's fucked up, you know you fucked up. You're in a bad situation. You're in a real bad situation. When EA can throw its hands up and go, we didn't do that. We're not that evil. If you were somehow able to out-evil EA and Activision, one of the most evil... There's a difference between Activision and EA. Activision is evil, but knows how to make money. They know what the people want, and usually can give people that. EA is different. They're just terrible. They still make the money, but it's like in spite of themselves. Madden gets worse every year. FIFA gets worse every year, but they still make the money. Everything. They're just terrible. They haven't put out a good game. Okay, Respawn. Respawn's put out some good games. Battlefield peaked and then just... what the fuck happened? I don't know. Okay, Squadrons is good. I'll give them that. They did release Squadrons. Squadrons is good. I've heard a lot of great things about it. And it's only $40 and apparently not very predatory. So, something's changing in EA. But they're very predatory and they're very greedy and don't give a shit about you, their employees, or anybody. But when they're just kind of bad at making money, like they still make it, but like the way they killed Dead Space and Mass Effect and a lot of other shit, it's like, how did you fuck this up? This was such an easy play to make money. Activision understands this. Understands it. It's like, man, that's fucking easy. Let's not fuck this up, guys. Let's not fuck this up. Every now and then we'll do an experimental one. If it doesn't work, we'll go back to what works, but we make sure it's a good game. It's a good game. For all, whatever you can say about Call of Duty, the gameplay is good. It works. Warzone, that I've been playing for the first time since I have internet now, and why is it 150 gigs? Holy shit. It's a good game. Holy shit, that's good. Still haven't played Modern Warfare. I can't wait to play it. The new one. I grew up on the old Modern Warfare. And Call of Duty in general. But man, it's like... But EA, it's like, we'll make Anthem. Holy shit, this game's bad. This game still isn't finished. This game's awful. Man, God, just... And they keep... Every now and then, someone comes up, it's like, we're still working on it. No, you're not. Shut up. No one's working on that game. Don't lie to us. And even if you are, we don't want you to. There is nothing you can do. Nothing that can save that. And Anthem 2 sure as hell ain't going to do it. Even if you were able, like, this is the best game ever, and you call it Anthem 2, you've killed it. It's not going to sell anything. Because why are people going to trust you? They might trust a new IP. They might trust something else. They're not going to trust something that says Anthem in the title. You might as well scrap all that bullshit. Basically make the new Anthem. Don't call it Anthem. Call it something completely different. Doesn't even rhyme with Anthem. That's it. Move on. These are the guys we're dealing with here. They don't look that bad compared to Ubisoft. And Ubisoft went from being like maybe boring or lazy and not putting out the best shit anymore in like about a decade or so. It's like, man, what's happened to Ubisoft? But it's like they weren't evil outside of being a giant corporation. And then just a 180 went from being like boring but okay to holy shit, this is the most evil company in the world. And a bunch of people left, including some guys on Beyond Good and Evil 2. Yeah, that game's not coming out. That game's not coming out. They might as well cancel that game. And it saddens me, but the game they showed off didn't really look that... I mean, it looked interesting, but it didn't look like Beyond Good and Evil 2. The first game ended on a cliffhanger. We want to continue that story, and you're going, let's do a prequel? Fuck you. Go fuck yourself. But now... Since its director, who's been the guy that's been pushing for Beyond Good and Evil 2 for well over a decade, is gone and apparently was a piece of shit himself, that game's not coming out. I cannot believe... I mean, I can believe it, but like, the turnaround, right? Of how fast they went from... It wasn't first to worst, but no one had a bad the feelings towards them, while it's like, man, they make the same game over and over again, it's not great, but hey, if you like that shit, you like that shit. It was kind of ambivalent compared to EA or Activision, where it's like, man, fuck these companies, they're awful. And then, but Activision had that whole shit with like, with China, and being against democracy for some reason, which is the position they took. They may not say that, but when they went against the guy and banned him and hurt him and did all that bullshit because he was talking about free Hong Kong and talking about democracy, they even fired the announcers who had nothing to do with that. You have directly gone against democracy. So you can go fuck yourself. Do you know how bad you have to be to make people forget about that? Yeah, that's how bad the Ubisoft situation is, and every day it gets worse. And this has been going on for months and months and months and months. But yeah. I didn't know if I was going to play Watch Dogs Legion. I thought it looked interesting, but at the same time, I didn't like Watch Dogs 2. I'm one of the very few people who liked the first one. I like darker stuff. People are like, oh, I didn't like her, blah, blah, blah. The main character is a piece of shit. And I'm like, well, he's not there to be liked. That's not... A protagonist is not there to be liked. That's not their job. I thought he was compelling, and I liked the systems in that game. There were systems in that game that worked well. If you weren't a piece of shit in the game, the world treated you like a hero. The police would back you up in fights, and people wouldn't run from you. But if you acted like a total asshole and just murdered people, the game treated you like that. All those systems were completely thrown out the window in Watch Dogs 2. I don't know why. Also, Watch Dogs 2 does a weird thing that the first one didn't, which kind of tries to blow smoke up your ass. From the get-go, Aiden Pierce is a thief and kind of a bad guy. He's a vigilante now, but he's not. They set off a believability. It's like this: the things that you're doing, the character probably also does. That's why Grand Theft Auto works. The guys you're playing are evil pieces of shit and murderers. Except for Franklin. He did some bad stuff, but he wasn't evil. It's like, well, I can get, like, when I'm running over people on the sidewalks, like, Trevor probably does that. And Watch Dogs, like, man, Aiden Pierce could do that, or he could do this, or whatever. It's however I play him, and it makes sense. But in Watch Dogs 2, it didn't care about your play style. So you could spend your whole day running over people on the sidewalk and shooting them and everything, and then go right into a cutscene about how we don't hurt anybody, and we don't even like to use guns, which would then feed right into a cutscene of them 3D printing you a fucking gun. I didn't like that. Also, the story was very predictable, and I didn't care about it. It was pretty, but it wasn't as fun to me as the first game. The third game looks like it has an interesting idea that apparently works, but outside of that, I also don't know why they're releasing it this early, especially when it looks like it's going to run a hell of a lot better on the next-gen shit, and why they've released it so close to Assassin's Creed Valhalla, another game I don't give a shit about. I haven't cared about Assassin's Creed since Black Flag, maybe? I actually like 3. I was one of the people who like 3. Its ending's terrible. I can't defend the ending, but I like the game. I like that it's a Native American protagonist. You don't see that at all. It's what? It's Prey, Turok, Assassin's Creed 3. Those are your games. Those are the games the Native American community gets. That's it. People don't like Connor because they're like, oh, he's so mean and such a dick. I'm like, he's having to work with the very people that have done nothing but kill his people his entire life. Yeah, he's mad. I'd be pissed off too. Whatever. That was not the game's problem. The game problem was the ending being, 1, came out of nowhere, and 2, being awful. Just awful. People give Mass Effect 3 shit for its ending. I would like to direct you to Assassin's Creed 3, which does it worse. Worse. The only credit I can give Ubisoft is they stuck to it, kind of. They didn't do weird color changes or try to tell you that you had choices or whatever. No, man. They're like, you're going to do this and only this, and you're making a horrible decision, and that's it. You got to live with it. And then the next game happened, and that's like, by the way, we're totally pulling back all that bullshit. Bunch of cowards. At least I can respect it. They stuck with it. And then Origins and Odyssey, it's not an Assassin's Creed game anymore. It's not even a Prince of Persia game. It's a different game. It doesn't feel good to me. It felt like a lesser Witcher that wasn't nearly as good. Play it and Witcher 3 back to back, and it's like, man, this ain't the Witcher at all. I can climb on shit more though. Can't really do that in The Witcher, but The Witcher is a long-ass game. A fucking long-ass game, but it doesn't feel bloated. And it doesn't feel like its length is what do you call it? Shit. Artificial. It's like, yeah, there's a lot of shit in here because it's supposed to be here. Assassin's Creed, it's a 100-hour game, and it's like, yeah, they're padding the shit out of this game. They're padding the shit out of this. This is all padding. I didn't like it. I didn't like it. If you enjoyed it, you enjoyed it. I'm not going to say you can't enjoy it. It's just, what the fuck happened, man? I don't know. I don't know. I've never known. I wish it did, but it don't. It's a fucking nightmare. What I do know is I don't care about Valhalla at all. Or really any Ubisoft game. At this point, I'd be hard pressed to get excited for a Splinter Cell game. I know I'd be excited for a moment, and then I would think about Ubisoft, and I'd be like, oh. Yeah. I've completely forgotten about Far Cry 6, by the way, which apparently got delayed. And I don't care. I don't care. I really don't care. Who gives a shit about Far Cry 6? I don't care. I do not care, man. EA's got like one good thing going for it, and that is Respawn. That new Jedi game is going to be great. We all know it. They had something great with that first one. It just needed to be, cooked longer. Because that game was not finished. It was not done. Needed to be polished a hell of a lot more. Not like Avengers, which is broken, but I'm very excited to see what they do with the sequel. Give me that or Titanfall 3. I don't care which one comes first. I'll be very, very happy. Yakuza 7 is, I don't know if it's out or if it's just getting reviews. It's getting great reviews. Go fucking figure it. It's the Yakuza game. I still gotta play 7 of them. No. I played the first one. 6 of them. Because because I want to do videos in it and play it with Joe. So I play 0, then I gotta replay through 1, but I'm gonna play Kiwami. And then Kiwami 2, then 3, 4, 5, and 6. And then, of course, 7. That's gonna take a while, because those are... 1 and 2 aren't long, but 3 and 4 are like 20 plus hours, and I think 5, 6, and I know 0 are 30 plus hours, and I don't know about 7. 7 could be a hell of a lot longer. But again, I don't know. Fucking virus, I tell you, we could have seen James Bond. James Bond's been pushed back several different times. And I just don't know why they don't fucking bite the bullet, put it on video on demand. And here's the thing. Put it on VOD and be like rental only or whatever. Make it, maybe don't do what Disney did because that was kind of fucking stupid. But make it like $20, $25. One watch. I get it. Recoup your cost. Then, when this all blows over, put it in fucking theaters. People will go see it. People go see old fucking movies in theaters all the time. Have you never heard of the Alamo Drafthouse? Half of what they show are movies from the 80s. Because they do stuff, it's like, we got a 35mm print of Conan the Barbarian. You want to watch that shit? And everybody goes, fuck yeah, I want to watch that shit. And they go and watch it. We got a print of Terminator 2. You want to go watch that shit? Go, fuck yeah. Because that movie theater experience is different. than watching it at home. Unless you have tens of thousands of dollars, you cannot build that experience in your house. You can build something close, but still spending thousands of dollars. But you can't get that screen, the particular movie theater screen, especially if you're going for stuff that's above and beyond. Or let's say you want 3D, then you got the shit with the crystal in it. Oh my God, you're spending a lot. Then the size, IMAX, the projector itself is like $30,000 starting. I don't know what the limit is. I just know that's a minimum price. A minimum price. People will go see it. I'll go see it. I could watch that movie like 10 times, and if I love it, I'll be like, man, I can't wait till I can go see this in theaters. And then once this ball blows over, and however the fuck long it takes, I'll go right down to the Alamo Drafthouse, and I'll go watch that fucking movie. Or I'll go to the IMAX and watch it. Go to the Bob Bullock Theater. Because fuck yeah, it's gonna be awesome. Why the hell would I not do that? Like, same with Wonder Woman or any of these other movies. I would absolutely go do that, but I just want to see the fucking movie. Then I can go watch it later. There's a lot of movies I've never been able to see in theaters because of time. Just wasn't able to do it. Time, money, whatever. And then the only way I saw them was on video demand, and I didn't think I was hurt by it. Unless it was spoiler shit, and then I was like, we gotta go, like, I gotta take this day off now. We gotta go see fucking Endgame, which is exactly what we did. We saw it the day it opened because we're like, we're not gonna have this spoiled on some fucking TikTok. Well, I guess TikTok wasn't a thing. Some Twitter, some bullshit, and have this ruined. We're gonna go see this shit when it happens. We took off, and Joe and I went and saw it and cried. It was awesome. R.I.P. Chadwick Boseman. Fuck, I haven't watched that movie. I haven't watched any of those movies since that, so I bet that hits different. Oh, damn, I didn't even think about that. Comes back just to be taken away. No one knew he had cancer. I mean, his family, but no one knew he had fucking cancer. So. Taken too soon. I've talked about a lot of just random ass bullshit. I think what I'm gonna do is once I get to like an hour or so, maybe even now, because this is still a test. This is a little bit different. I mean, the rambling shit's the same as the regular podcast, but I don't have the topics or what else I want to talk about. I just wanted to do a test, see if this works. It worked better. I got a fucking someone in chat. That didn't expect it to happen. Thank you, Alterheim, or Alterheim or whatever, Alterheim. But lost train of thought. But they usually are a little bit different. I usually have an idea of what I want to talk about. There's some big news, you know, so on and so forth. You know, big news now is the presidential election, but everybody's talking about that. There's some more Achievement Hunter news. Still about the same people, which is Ryan. Some more people came out, and their accounts are horrifying. And that man needs to be in prison. That's all that really needs to be said about that. I went in length on my other two podcasts and such, other two episodes and such, talking about that. It just hurts a hell of a lot to keep talking about. We shouldn't forget it. So we gotta stay vigilant on that shit to make sure it doesn't happen again, so that if we see like a friend or whoever in the community, we can come together and stop that from happening. Because they may not realize what's happening. That's usually how that works. Abusers at first don't realize, or not the abusers. The abused don't realize they're being abused or manipulated at first. It's always when it's way too late, after the damage has been done. But yeah. As a test, I think this has worked out pretty good. We lost some frames here and there. Well, it's been 44 minutes. We lost 113 frames. That's 0.1%. I don't know when that happened. Apparently, we had a drop at some point in time, which ain't good. I don't know why we had the drop, but there was a drop. But that's okay. What I do know is my head hurts. And I'm kind of running out of stuff to talk about. Now, granted, I could talk about random bullshit all night long, but this is a podcast, and I don't want to necessarily put out a 4-hour podcast because that's going to set a precedent and yada, yada, yada. And I can't do that every week. It's hard just to do this every week on top of the other bullshit that I got to do with a 9-hour job. That's incredibly stressful and draining. But I like this test. This seemed to work out pretty well. Of course, you'll have the VOD over on YouTube. You'll be able to listen to it anywhere you can listen to podcasts, pretty much. Anywhere. Like, I'm pretty sure. Anywhere. But, yeah. Thanks to the fine people at Anchor FM. Which, if you don't know, if you want to make your own podcast, Anchor FM is the free way to do it. It's got a fucking phone app. You can do it on your phone. It's great. I've done it. Works surprisingly well. And I still do it now because that's how I get all this stuff done. They handle pretty much all the back end. This podcast does not have an ad in it. I just kind of went into my whole ad spiel organically. But yeah, I think this little test here of this live went well. In the future, since I got internet again, I'm hoping to bring back Pedro and maybe James and anyone else I can get on here and have as guest. I don't know how it would look video-wise. Before, I never had to worry about that. I mean, just Discord, capture Discord and everything. But that's going to be an issue I'm going to have to work out once I get people. But this podcast did not start off as me by myself. This was a collaborative effort. Just life got in the way. Boy, did it get in the way. Yeah. So we're kind of wrapping things up here. Or I'm kind of wrapping things up here. But I think I'm going to take a breather for a second. Take something from my headache. And I might be back and stream something. Maybe Warzone or something. I don't know. I feel like streaming. I like streaming. I've always enjoyed streaming. Hope I can make a living off of it. Or just YouTube in general. I love it. And then tonight, get back on that grind. And I think we're going to jump into Mafia. Jump back into Mafia. And Joe and I are going to record some more videos. Hopefully. Hopefully. But until then, I'll see you all on the next one. Thank you all for joining me. And what? I say I fucked up my ending. I already fucked it up. I knew this was going to happen. I usually thank everybody and then say see you in the next one. But anyway, thank you, Alterheim, for joining me. And maybe see you all next week. And I may stream every now and then throughout the week, depending on how much time I have. But we're going to do the daily uploads. 5 videos a week, so that's Monday through Friday, on the channel now that my computer is back and alive, despite being jank and redneck as fuck. But we can get back to doing this, and that's a good thing, because I actually bought a lot of games, and I was like, I can't wait to make all these videos, and the computer exploded. But we're going to get back into Mafia, finish that, so I can send it back through Gamefly, jump back on Mario 3D All-Stars. I don't know if we're going to finish Costume Quest. We're going to finish Alan Wake. We got other shit to do. A lot of other stuff, including some weeaboo shit, because my wife's a weeaboo. Loves that Naruto. Can't get enough of that nine-tailed fox dick. Anyway,